Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste. Hi. Hello. My name is Afshan, and I will be your host for today's event, the Digital Dialogues Season 2, Industry 4.0. In our very first episode of the Digital Dialogues, we will be focusing on intelligent industry. Digital Dialogues is brought to you by Dell Technologies in partnership with NASSCOM and is powered by Strategic. Kindly please sit back and make yourself feel absolutely comfortable. We should be commencing episode 1 in just a few minutes. While we have an immersive set of industry and technology discussions curated only for you over the next hour or so, our last segment is today's episode will be an in-focus discussion with one of India's greatest celebrities and legends. I'm sure you all are excited to know who that is, but for now, let that remain a mystery. The first segment is titled The Digital Dialogues, and it will be moderated by Mr. Arjun Vishwanathan, Chief Research Officer, Strategic.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome you to the Digital Dialogues Episode 1. Today, we are in discussion with industry leaders and NASSCOM on the concepts and nuances of the intelligent industry. I am Arjun Vishwanathan, Chief Research Officer at Strategic. Industry is often faltered by underestimating the power of data as the new proverbial oil, or data as the lifeblood. In fact, perhaps data even as a business asset in itself. However, a growing realization emerges, one that focuses on early data collection, storing, and provisioning made real with an increased use of artificial intelligence and cognitive technologies. Viewed comprehensively, data analytics and that which goes into the making of intelligent industry is all about diverse approaches towards the final goal of extracting data, insights, and knowledge, further application to solving industrial problems and challenges, such as the optimization of efficiencies in machines, humans, and processes. Joining me on the panel today are some very eminent industry leaders who are at the center of crafting the intelligent factories of tomorrow, the intelligent enterprises of tomorrow. Please join me in welcoming, and in no specific order, Mr. Prasenjit Sengupta, Executive Council Member and Chief Digital Officer, Thermix Group. Prasenjit, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Arjun.
Mr. Atul Govil, Chief Transformation Officer and Head Technology, India Glycols. Atul, pleasure that you could join us today.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you. Look forward for a great session today.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
And last but not the least, Mr. Amit Saluja, Senior Director and Center Head, NASSCOM COE. Amit, pleasure that you could join us once again. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Arjun, and hi to Atul and Prasenjit.
Indeed.
Right.
Prasenjit, I will directly come to you, I'd like you to fashion your response and your articulation on, given the diverse experience that you have across a range of industries, your view on the intelligent industry and what its nuances really mean in what we are really calling the digital economy. Prasenjit.
Okay, thank you, Arjun. So in my experience of both the automotive manufacturing industry as well as the heavy engineering industry that I am working in now, I find that more and more the entire industrial segment is going into an area where data is really playing a role in understanding how the processes work, a role in understanding more about the customer, a role in also understanding that how can we give more and more value adds to the customer. And the moment we are talking about outside in approach of understanding the customer and giving what they require, it basically means that we have to re-engineer the ways in which we work, re-engineer our processes. And for doing that in an effective way, it also means that we have to understand the data, understand our inherent processes, and come up with more, let us say, more significantly important underlying solutions that is not only beneficial for the customer, but also beneficial for our OEMs. And that is the direction in which I have seen that various manufacturing industries have moved. Maybe some have moved faster, some are moving a bit slower, but I think the direction is exactly the same for everybody. How can we get more information out of our own working? How can we get more information about our own processes? And how can we use the entire thing to leverage it and get more, let us say, bang for the buck for both the customer and ourselves.
Indeed.
I think that is prima facie what I would say is the direction in which most of the manufacturing organizations are moving.
Very, very interesting set of points. Atul, if I could come to you, I think one of the key uh, keywords really that I took from what Prasenjit was mentioning was the whole concept of intelligent industry, and industry by itself is increasingly being about how do you do more, deliver more. What's your view on this, Atul? The intelligent factories of tomorrow, the intelligent industry.
So, no, what I was mentioning is that coming from a manufacturing organization, what I can tell you is, so there are two ways wherein we need to look at how digital is transforming things. So one is the new business models. So that's one context. The other is the within the manufacturing operations. What do we do? So I think first of all, when you talk about manufacturing operations, the value levers in manufacturing is very well known to all. Okay. However, what digital does is that it takes it to a very different level. It could be around collaboration. It could be around minimizing manual effort, or having a real-time view of your energy consumptions, your process yields, availability, plant availability, health and safety aspects. So what digital does is, so it actually enables and facilitates the current human and manual effort, so that everything becomes very precise and to that effect real time. So that's the core about how digital can add significant value to manufacturing operations. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Amit, I'm going to take that to you. Uh, from one other side of the table, how at NASSCOM are you kind of viewing the whole concept of intelligent industry and its application in what we are really seeing as the digital economy? One that has certainly been disrupted, but one that is expected to certainly bounce back.
Absolutely, thanks. So I think the intelligent industry, while we are talking about since quite a bit of a time, but I think the kind of a real adoption is still needs to happen a lot more. And my definition of intelligent industry is making our all the resources in our plants more intelligent, right? So the plant gets run by the people, the machinery, raw materials. We have different kind of resources at the plants. And when we say intelligent, so if you can make an intelligent decision for everyone, for our workers, for the machinery that we have, and the raw material and our products, correct? All decision making, if you can make intelligent, I think that will be the most important way to improve the productivity and the efficiency in the plants. So, and this can be done in a various ways, correct? I mean, we are talking about data as the central to each of the things. So for every decision making, we will need data to be in a proper shape. Every kind of a data which is needed for the analysis needs to be there. Data needs to define. So there are a lot of operations needs to be done before. So I think that's what I have to say. Data is important. There are different ways we can use the data to get the insights out of it, and then the decision making needs to happen.
No, it's very interesting, gentlemen, and I am going to bring this to you. Prasenjit, with your permission, if I may come to you. The whole concept of intelligence, when infused in a convergence of humans and machines, is expected to power innovation. And innovation being, well, if I may be allowed to call it a commodity, one that is significantly needed in the years to come. And I, of course, speak about various central government, state government initiatives, Atmanirbhar Bharat, for example, by itself. Now, how do you orchestrate true innovation and make a difference in the intelligent industry concept from just doing something incremental?
You see, Arjun, that's a very interesting question, because there's also a dichotomy in the question that you ask.
Indeed, it is.
Because whereas innovation is normally looked at a huge big bang approach, we are coming in with a revolutionary idea, something very drastic, something like an Apple iPhone, maybe for the first time when it came. But let us also understand that iPhone does not automatically come in for the first time. it basically moves also from one step to another of understanding the customer challenges, understanding the customer needs, the problem statements, and then there are certain solutions. Whereas in one way, I would say that it is very important to also have an innovative stream inside of every industry, every company. It is equally important to also have a very, let us say, a very strong and resilient ear to the ground to understand that how the requirements are shifting, how the policies are shifting, what is let us say the need of the hour, and how do we make our processes, our understanding, our thinkings more flexible to adapt to the changes. So innovation is not only about bringing in a very new thing, but also being equally flexible about adopting to the new. For example, I think this pandemic has also taught us how, all of a sudden, almost like overnight, within the span of a couple of weeks, the entire requirement set of whether it is a company, whether it's the government, whether it is the consumers, everything has gone in for a phase shift. And all the companies that stand out today as people who have lost the lowest amounts of revenues are those people who were flexible
Very
enough,
important.
who could understand the how the tides were shifting, and they were able to modify their internal solutions to come up with desired results. I think innovation in the future, even though you are saying it is important, I would also like to put in a rider there, that innovation will only be important if people and the companies are flexible. The
Indeed.
more the flexible the companies will be in their approaches to adopting the new, I think more and more innovation you will find coming in from those companies and organizations.
Very, very interesting. I'm going to take that to you, Atul, and I'm going to add a point to that. Saying while you power innovation, I think somewhere the last few months, or at least, well, most of the first half of this year, has taught us many, many lessons on the whole concept of how to build resilience within organizations, within factories, within the economy by itself. How do you kind of bring the whole concept of intelligent industry, intelligent factories, intelligent enterprises to the concepts of building resilience while powering automation? So if you get my drift, to be able to balance it to such a fine degree so as not to compromise on either of the variables or the vectors.
Yeah. So I think Arjun, it's a very pertinent question into current times. So I just want to highlight one thing that we all agree that the current COVID pandemic has actually given a hard reset to most companies, and
Indeed.
and especially to those who always believe that whatever worked for them in the last decades will continue to work for them forever. Okay. And this also has bring in a sharp reality that it is critical for companies to be more resilient and innovate, harness technologies to sustain their business. It's not just about growth, it's also about sustaining their revenues currently. And I just want to also reflect on a point that with lockdowns across the globe, which we have seen, and it continues in some shape and form in different cities in India as
Indeed.
well. There is, and then within companies, within the work structure, we are required to follow the physical, or so to say, social distancing norms. Now, getting the right team to run and attend to operational and maintenance issues, I'm talking about an industry today. It's becoming a nightmare for organizations to get the right experts to be available
Very
24/7.
true. Very true.
Now, and to add to this situation is the age factor. Now, the most senior colleagues in the enterprise who are most experienced in running the plant operations or addressing maintenance issues are also unfortunately the most vulnerable for the virus attack, which means that they would like to stay home or work from home, but at the same time their requirement is there on the shop floor. So now companies have also are there realizing, they're contemplating that how do we leverage technology, maybe use artificial intelligence, or maybe use machine learning to that effect, or in fact deploy something like an IoT which can predict some kind of failures in advance, so that they can facilitate and run their operations without a break point or a breakdown, so to say. So I think these are times wherein this COVID has actually, as I said, it's an opportunity for progressive organizations to start looking at how do we need to reshape ourselves. Okay, what do we need to do differently so as to uh, be ready and be available to serve the customer needs.
Indeed, indeed. And Amit, if I could come to you, both Prasenjit and Atul made very, very strong, impactful points about the need to reshape, rethink, and fundamentally reimagine. What's your view? Resilience on one end, but the need to be hyper competitive in an equally hyper competitive market and an economy of sorts, and being able to balance all of these together.
Yeah, thanks. So from NASSCOM, our biggest focus is to drive innovations in the industry in the country. Right?
Yes.
So we keep talking with the companies on the innovation, and seems like innovation has become a buzzword now. Right? So everyone says, I mean, we are innovating, we are kind of doing our best to bring out new things. Now, what is the real innovation? What it means? Right? So I think there has to be a dedicated focus on the innovation, which doesn't happen just by kind of seeing, I mean, that we are an innovative company. And then coming to your point of between the resilience and then also making sure you are taking enough of a risk, correct? So I think that's where the innovation comes, with the taking about of the risk, some element of risk taking also, because when you are innovating, you are trying out few things in a different way, which becomes important. So I think one thing we need to be prepared while doing innovation is we need to be prepared for failure. And we need to build an innovation funnel. So for example, we need to have about, say, if there is something, efforts are going on, define multiple new ideas, right? I mean, an idea can be small, an idea can be big, so it doesn't matter. But the multiple ideas needs to be shaped up at an organization level. And from there, a funnel needs to be created, evaluation, and then taking them further. So at the end, if you say, if you have 10 ideas which started with, it could be possible that only one or two might kind of see the light. But even though one or two ideas can see the light, then it can cover up for a big thing from the organization point of view. And then the point comes up is, how do you really define all of these? So I think there has to be a structured process around the coming up with an ideas and then taking the ideas to the next level, so that we are taking the right decisions, correct? And
that indeed is important.
Yeah, and then I'm a huge fan of design thinking, right? And I think that's a great way of bringing up or thinking at an organization level, thinking from every user point of view. And that user, when I'll say again, it could be a employee, it could be our internal system, it could be customer, it could be all our stakeholders. And that's a great way to bring everyone together in a one room, brainstorming, generating ideas, identifying the real issues, what is going on, not just looking at the issue in an isolation, but look at holistically at an organization level, and then start kind of prioritizing them, and then from there
Indeed.
look at what are the ideas that can be taken to the next level. So I think that's where, I mean, some kind of structure has to be followed.
And you made a pertinent point there, which is what I'm going to, with your permission, take to Prasenjit. Prasenjit, Amit spoke about the whole concept of ideation, design thinking. Now, when you kind of bring intelligence and data together, within your vast experience, and I am going to come to Atul too, practical use cases or examples where the crafting of intelligent industry or intelligent factories has led to superior. Prasenjit, if I may come to you.
Yes, Arjun, thank you. So you see, what has happened is, again, I mean, I fully agree with Amit that a proper kind of a concerted approach and a design thinking is definitely important to come up with a set of ideas and then funnelize the ideas to understand that what is going to make business sense, whether it is for the customers, whether it is for the internal operations. And coming back to your question about certain ideas and certain things,
The
that
practical application.
some practical examples that if I may talk about. I'll give you one example of in the last 3-4 months only. I mean, I talked also
Most
earlier.
interesting, yes.
So we have one of our divisions which is dealing with the chemicals. So we make specialty chemicals for various different industry practices. And during this period, and if you remember, during the months of April, I think end of March, April, etc., there were huge requirements, and people were talking about sanitization, and people were talking about how can we have sanitization liquids for our, for our hands and all that. And chemicals was actually in a very suitable position, which was already making these specialist chemicals for other people. And we also found that why can't we make hand sanitizers also? I mean, it is just a small deviation from what we are doing, but we have all the right ingredients in terms of people who think about molecules, think about making up different compositions. And this is also a composition that we are talking about. So this is one example. Other examples when we talk about, I mean, whether it is in across all our, different businesses. Another thing that I will talk to you about is the entire focus of the industry or the government policies, which has now come onto the clean air, clean water area. So we have already actually started about talking about products, discussing products which are suited to these policies. Because more and more we find that the customers are no longer interested in managing, let us say, the utilities processes themselves, but they are getting more perturbed by the government policies, and they are looking out for organizations with whom they can partner on the outcomes. So basically, it is something like industry saying that this is my core industry is not my utilities, but at the end of the day, I understand that there are going to be some effluents which is going to come out of my industry.
Yes.
Can I partner with an organization who can take care that the effluents which are going to come out is going to be falling within the norms of the policy? And these are those outcome-driven areas that we are looking for. Another third example maybe I can say is this entire pandemic has also put a huge shutdown on the labor availability across, whether it is companies, whether it is project sites, I mean, you name it, everywhere. And this has also pushed the entire organization to look at remote monitoring mechanisms.
Yes.
Not only remote monitoring, but also remote, we have actually also seen remote commissioning. And these were certain skill sets which were all there, maybe latent in nature, which has all come into the forefront because of the pandemic. So I can say that this pandemic, in a way, has also worked as a catalyst in really bringing to the fore many latent possibilities and skill sets that we already have, and we were just looking at the right moment to bring it. Maybe if you allow me one more minute, Arjun, I will take one more example from my previous organization. In Volkswagen, we were working on the electric vehicles, and every other major were also working on electric vehicles for a long time. But for also equally important to note was, for a long time, they were all in the alpha and the beta stages. But the moment there was the entire push about the diesel polluting vehicles, and then there was the entire chaos about the emission norms which happened in America, and then it got percolated to all the other parts of the world. It also worked as a catalyst for many automotive industry companies to come up with their electric vehicles very quickly. They were all lab ready, they were all beta ready and beta tested. It was just a catalyst. They were waiting maybe for a catalyst to bring it out on the field. And that was another example from the automotive industry.
Atul, I'm going to bring that to you. We heard a diverse spectrum of examples and use cases from Prosenjit. If I could come to you, sir, in your vast experience, and maybe perhaps something as recent as the first half of this year, the use of data and intelligence to power either superior business outcomes or innovation, efficiency.
Yeah, hi. So no, I think it's quite. No, I'll give you a very specific example of what we did and how we leveraged technology to drive operational excellence and other use cases. So first of all, what we did is we commissioned an IoT solution based on for operational excellence year back. And during this shutdown, during the forced shutdown, I would say,
Indeed.
even for chemical factories and the likes, no, it is important to keep monitoring even the shutdown state of equipments or even the inventory. It could be raw material, it could be work in progress, or it could be finished goods also. Those have to be monitored so that you ensure that the safe upkeep, they are in safe storage, so to say. So, we all know during the pandemic, when it was at the peak, so we had this situation at LG Chemicals in Vizag, wherein while they were trying to restart after this lockdown, there was a big leakage, because of which there were multiple fatalities which happened. And in fact, I don't know whether
Fortunate.
you would know that there is one of the setups in Telangana. Recently, they had a big blast wherein their complete boiler unit and the utility unit, it blasted off, and we had around 7 to 8 fatalities. All these are issues related to safety, related to hazards of maybe because the supervision was not continual. So I'm just telling you a situation wherein if you do not monitor your operations right, then what could be the consequence? It's not just about loss of productivity, it could result in loss of lives also. So as I was telling, in our case, we had set up this real-time IoT solution, one on the operational excellence and the other one was for the energy generation and consumption pattern realization. So what we did using that, so we are able to troubleshoot, troubleshoot the production bottlenecks, we are able to track the asset utilizations at optimized levels, we are able to track scrap and any yield loss issues. For batch cycle plants, we are able to see whether the batch cycle times are optimal, or are we taking more time to produce the same product. Then we are also looking at BOM versus actual. BOM versus actual is, suppose if you have to make tea, example, I'm just making it very simple for everybody to understand. So you need to add so much of milk, so much of water, so much of sugar, and give so much of heat to be able to get so much of the tea output. But suppose if you were to consume more milk or more sugar or more heat, then the process is not optimal. So the cost of making that particular glass or that quantity of tea will be suboptimal. So if you were to look at those aspects real time, so you can intervene rather than looking at those data sets after the shift gets over or after the day gets over, which was the historic thing which we were doing. But by that time, that opportunity is already lost. So all of this is happening using technology. And in fact, during the shutdown period, we were monitoring, as I said, the inventory, the plant running conditions using the remote operation, the IoT technologies which we had put in place. So all these are real examples I'm telling. I'm not talking about something which is futuristic or we should do, or this is not Google Gyan I'm trying to give you.
Indeed, we realize
it's all what we have done at our setups. And another use case, though, I just want to also highlight for other leaders is, today you have to see you're spending money on your ERP systems, you're spending on your process control systems, you're spending money on laboratory systems, money on HRMS, CRM, so many applications. So you can create a laundry list of applications you would have in your organization. Now, in many of these systems, you would have data sets which is actually you got creating redundant data sets. So maybe duplicity of effort is going. Then along with duplicity, there is always a likelihood of a mismatch, integrity issues. So if you were to have these siloed systems integrated, and then with business context, of course, so that then you can actually look at what's going right, what's going wrong in a very holistic manner, rather than looking at these pocket solutions or implementing such pocket solution and then saying, no, I'm driving transformation. No, it is not. It is actually you are doing some intervention which you are putting it under the umbrella of transformation. So unless you are able to measure and monitor what are the key levers or the key KPIs of your enterprise or your organization on a real-time basis, there is little much value you can create otherwise. That's my thought.
Outstanding points, gentlemen. But I do have a view on the clock, and that is pretty much what we have time for. But I still do have time, which is exactly a minute, and I'm going to go quickly to each of you Amit, with your permission, I am going to start from you. Your one prediction for Indian industry from the concept of the intelligent industry in the months or the years to come.
Great, thanks, Arjun. I think it was an interesting discussion that we had today. And if I talk about one prediction that we'll have is, I certainly believe that every manufacturing company in India, whether it is small or large, will look for digital to find ways to cut the cost. Saving the cost is not just an desire now; it's a kind of a must. And we have seen the people who have adopted digital earlier, they are in a much better stage. So I'm really seeing the growth of digital happening, the adoption of the technologies, new technologies. When we talk about AI, IoT, cloud, the adoption of these technologies will exponentially increase in the country at an every organization level. And if the people are still not kind of in waking up, then I think it's a
Time is now.
time is now.
Outstanding. Prosenjit, one prediction for Indian industry from the concept of intelligence, data, and its capital use.
I think one thing is for certain, Arjun, that every manufacturing industry is going to try to become more intelligent and smart. The degree, as I had told you earlier, will vary from industry to industry. Another prediction that I make is it is not only going to be about the operational efficiency anymore. It is going to be about flexibility. It is going to be about the outside in picture of understanding what is the customer requirement. And also after the pandemic, my prediction is that a very large component of intelligence and automation will be towards the safety and also having processes which are compliant to all the government norms. I think from my perspective, Arjun, I would like to give you that prediction.
Lovely. And Atul Govil, I come to you. Finally, sir, your prediction for Indian industry from the concept of intelligence and data capital.
Thank you, Arjun. I think no, I do not hold a crystal ball, but just let me give me my give you my perspective. I think digital holds a great promise and a huge risk also for those who are comfortable in their past glory. And it's important for industry leaders like us and all of us to really think through and move beyond the hype. And we need to crystallize how actually tech is currently impacting our business, and it will impact more in months or years to come. Importantly, we need to challenge the assumptions that we had, which built our past success. And the last point I want to add here is that digital is beyond technology. It's now a way of life. All we need to do is just participate in the many ways it can facilitate us and our organizations. So that's the thing. And for the prediction point, I think with more powerful computers and algorithms now available, technologies like AI, ML, as Amit also mentioned, will see more pronounced usage, expansive usage in enterprises in months to come. Mind it, it's not about years, it's not about decades, it's not about the future. I'm talking about in months to come, we will see more pronounced usage, and companies who miss out will do it at their own risk. Yeah, that's my point.
Indeed, so beautiful words. Gentlemen, that pretty much is what we have time for in this segment of episode 1 of the Digital Dialogues. Ladies and gentlemen, you were with your host Arjun Vishwanathan in dialogue with Prosenjit Sengupta, Atul Govil, and Amit Saluja. Gentlemen, it has been nothing short of delightful and a privilege to have been in conversation with you. I would like to thank you. It was brilliant, and I'm sure the audience found it extremely impactful. For the audience, stay tuned. We'll be back with the next segment shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Prasanjit.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay tuned. Our next segment is titled Strategy in Motion and will be moderated again by Mr. Arjun Vishwanathan, Chief Research Officer, Strategic. Over to you, sir.
Hello, this is your host Arjun Vishwanathan. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you who are attending and participating in the episode of the Digital Dialogues with us today. I'd like to call upon Amit Saluja from NASSCOM and Atul Govil to from India Glycols to join me for the live question answer sessions, please. We've got quite a few questions, a couple of them that have come through us through the webinar platform, and a couple of them, very interestingly, that have also come to me on LinkedIn. I'm going to take the first question to Atul. Atul, if you're there. Amit, is Atul managing to reconnect?
Hi, I'm there. I was on mute, so I'm there. Yeah. Hi, Arjun. Hi, Amit.
Outstanding. Hi. So I've got a very, very interesting question from Mr. Ambrish Patwardhan. I beg your pardon, but I don't know your organization's name, Ambrish. But Ambrish has a very interesting point. He says that digitalization, AI, IoT are expected to come with a certain amount of cost. And in a post-pandemic kind of a situation, affordability in an immediacy of time may well be a slight challenge. So Ambrish's question really is, should the approach for the MSME segment, Atul, really be to start with digitalization as the first step towards creating the intelligent factory or the intelligent industry?
No, I would say it's. I think that's a very pertinent question because yes, costs and the associated skills also. I would say not just cost. It comes at a premium. But I think the larger question is not about whether we should do it or not. I think we should also look at what is the risk if you don't do it now.
Indeed.
The point here is that no, I mentioned in the digital dialogue, the discussion earlier as well. We need to figure out who are we competing against, who is our competition, because we are not producing products and services for our own, within the enterprise consumption. It is for our customers, and if customers have a choice, they would look at products which are having far better quality, okay, and at a lower cost, and all that will only happen if you have systems which are sustainable, so to say. I give an example. Many companies who were running manually, their processes were completely manual. They could not start operations during these times, during the COVID times, because you never had manpower. You had manpower issues, and then even if you had manpower, then still you had limitation on how many people can work in that environment. So these things were like, you were unable to operate. So the point is, you also have to look at what are the pockets wherein digitization adds value, immediate value. You have to first go on for the low-hanging fruits, but it is very important to as I mentioned, you have to relook at the whole set of processes and figure out which are those processes which, if were digitized, or I would say digitalized for that matter, then it will add significant value, and then you prioritize your spend around those technologies. That's how I would mention. Yeah.
Thank you. And Ambrish, we hope that Atul was able to address your question to the largest degree. Amit, Suresh Balachandran. Yeah, sorry. You were saying something.
I was saying I just wanted to add a point on the
Please.
SMEs, correct? And this could be the question for many more. So especially for the SMEs, I think we need to have a approach defined. So digital is, again, we are saying that it is not a choice, and the difference comes between the small companies and the large companies is the kind of a digital journey, right? So for the smaller companies, the SME sector, we have to start with the digitization, then move towards the digitalization, basically. So look for certain solutions which are low cost and easy to implement. Start with them, take baby steps, see the fruits of the coming through, and then define a kind of a large level program. But I think we need to start. So
outstanding. And Amit, if you could just stick with me, we have another question on the platform. Jigar Shah joins us and says, enterprises are struggling to determine how to effectively migrate to network storage environments in a way that makes these infrastructures manageable and cost efficient, while obviously driving superior business outcomes and revenue enhancements. How important really, and while the rest of his question is fashioned in a certain way, let me articulate that. How important is network storage today as one of the most basic pillars of the transformative initiatives that organizations and manufacturers really will carry on?
Yeah, so network, it becomes the kind of an, you can say it's also the oil for the
backbone, really.
oil for the data. Correct. It's the backbone. So network storage becomes the kind of an backbone, and it is extremely important. While different applications are being laid down, which are across different use cases, and right now everything is getting onto the cloud. So when we talk about storing that data, I mean, we will need the network. So the network, it has to be.
Atul, I'm going to come to you with the last question, really, because, folks, that's pretty much what we have time for. Sunil Balachandran asked me on via LinkedIn, saying the whole concept of intelligent industry is also supposed to, well, at least theoretically, enable a lot more visibility at an enterprise-wide level. Is that a fact in terms of a deliverable, or is it just a myth, Atul?
Yeah, hi. So I think if you talk about a digital factory or an intelligent industry or a factory, there are 4 or 5 factors which are important. One is the sensorization part, whether you have enough sensors in place to showcase or to look at how the plant performance is, or whether you are running at the optimal levels, whether the plant operations are safe, secure. So the first part is the sensorization part. Second is the interconnectedness or the interoperability, wherein Amit also mentioned the network part. So interconnectedness will only happen if you have that network set up. And of course, then you will have to also look at the connectedness across disparate but contextual systems. It not just for the sake of connectedness or becoming smart, you just cannot wire up everything, or you just cannot connect anything and
Also
everything
got to
for
be
that matter.
congruous.
It has to be thought through, it has to be contextual, that know what makes sense for connectedness. And then once you have the data lake, so to say, created, then you look at the data modeling, that know what are the models which you want to create, what are the KPIs you would like to look at, and finally the analytics which will create or give you insights for the critical decision support. That's the most important thing. And finally, last but not the least, it should lead to continual improvement and optimization. Otherwise, of course, it will remain a myth or just a tech story, but it has to drive real business outcomes. It could be, I give you an example. Suppose if we talk about an energy optimizer project, wherein you are looking at the energy consumption on a real-time basis. Energy has a very interesting aspect. You can't inventorize in energy. You either, when you generate it, you either consume it immediately, otherwise you can't store it. No, you can't keep a tank to store energy,
Yeah.
so to say. I'm just saying so. You may have capacitor banks to do that into some effect, but you can't store economically. You can't, an industry cannot store energy. But if you were to look at how every hour, what is the specific energy consumption in a particular process, and then you continually optimize your operations, so that you do the production at the lowest energy consumptions, so that you can, that much is the saving. Otherwise, if you look at those daily reports after 24 hours, that opportunity is already gone, so you have lost that energy thing, and that gets apportioned to the cost. And I want to also draw one important aspect. Each added rupee to the cost of your product makes you as less competitive in the market. You have to factor that, which is very important. So this drives the customer perspective also, because it's not just your cost. Your cost has a bearing on your standing in the market. Okay, so that is how it all dials into. That's my point, Arjun.
Thank you so very much. Folks, that's pretty much what we have time for. Atul, Amit, thank you for joining us for the live Q&A session. Amit, please stay on. We'll call you in shortly when we go live with questions again. Thank you, folks. Please
Thank
stay
you.
tuned. We'll be back with the next segment.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to the segment of the Digital Dialogues Season 2, Industry 4.0. In this segment, I, Arjun Vishwanathan, I'm going to be in conversation with a very, very eminent industry expert, IT practitioner, and someone at the core of what the intelligent industry is all about. Please join me, put your hands together in welcoming none other than Sharad Agarwal, Head IT, JK Tyre and Industries Limited. Sharad, absolutely delighted you could be with us, sir.
My pleasure, rather.
Lovely.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you, sir. Sharad, I'm directly going to jump into it. And we're discussing something that's very, very important today. And the whole concept of what Industry 4.0 and therefore within it, the intelligent industry really means in what is increasingly becoming a very digital economy of sorts, especially from the context of India. How would you kind of see this entire piece coming in together? The use of intelligence, the intelligent factory, the intelligent enterprise, the intelligent industry by itself.
So, as we are focusing on IoT, so this is very core to the industry that I work in, and especially if we feel from Indian perspective, if we can do more on the manufacturing front, and if we can increase share of the manufacturing output for the GDP, so it would augur well for the complete economy. So we have been, all of us have been through times which have been not so conducive. But in these times, the need for real automation intelligence has come out because we were able to do a lot of things otherwise remotely. But to manage a industry, a manufacturing unit remotely is where the real challenge lies. So therein, so the need for digital factory, smart factory, whatever we want to term it, coin it, IIoT, really comes out. So the challenges have been multifold. Like there has been a limit on number of people who can visit a office or a factory to produce things, but the output norms are even though the market demand has not come back 100% back, but still the number of people who are going in cannot produce what is expected. Suppose 50% of people may give you output of 60 to 70% of the total installed capacity, but otherwise how do we do it? So we are looking, we means not just JK Tyre, everybody is looking forward to times wherein we can manage the shop floors remotely, and we can control the physical assets using cyber connects, and sitting at home I shall be able to produce a tire, though it will call for some investments, and those investments have to bring real value to the business. But some of the important things that we see is, one is topmost is the productivity per person. Then person shall going for a person would be a robot also, a person could be a thing also, and overall efficiency of the equipment, which in manufacturing parlance is OE. These are the two things. If we can take a holistic view around them and bring the total cost of production down by keeping the initial investments would be higher, they won't be lower, because India, if you look back at India, India is home to a cheap labor, but things are changing now, and we all, so it won't be just cheap labor, it would be cheap technology. Cheap is probably not a very good word. I would say optimal value technology available to the world, which would do wonders for all of us.
So when you spoke about IoT, sensors, connected machines, now the infusion of artificial intelligence and machine learning really within the whole concept of the shop floor or the factories of tomorrow, what kind of value benefits do you see coming out of the infusion of AI and therefore the data that will go out? What do you expect to change in the overall concept of the intelligent industry, the intelligent factory?
So just let me start with an example. We sort of instituted a predictive maintenance AI based system in one of our plants. So it gives you a threshold based alarm to look at your things. So as we have all studied during times of engineering, we have to go for planned maintenance rather than shutdown maintenance. But now times have come where we shall go for predictive maintenance.
Indeed.
If something is going to to be in fault, we shall be able to looking at the signals, we shall be able to repair it. So this is where the real artificial intelligence or machine learning would help to bring the benefits of IIoT to the industry. So that was an example. So what we all are looking for there. So if you look at any plant, any manufacturing plant, it would be generating data to the tunes of terabytes of data per day. But are as humans we capable of looking at it? No, we are not. What we are looking at just three numbers. First of all, safety numbers, then the productivity numbers, and third one is the cost numbers. We are looking at just the three numbers, and we are looking only at anomalies. Why? Why there was a more of a downtime? Why the productivity was less? But if we analyze and try to plug all these different thousands of tags that are coming from the machines and put them in a simulated environment, so what we can do, I can also say that this batch of rubber seems to giving you a bad result. So rather discarding this after quality check at the last station, let's rework it now. So that would be saving that otherwise would be difficult to achieve. Another thought can be, can we take 110% as productivity from the machine which was institutionalized for 100%? How that can be achieved is probably we can bring in mechanisms to minimize the changeover times, or rather program it so efficiently that the suppose 2% of your time is going for changeover, can we reduce it to 0.5%? So then we will be getting 1.5% additional time to produce everything. So these are some of the examples in which this machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence would be really helpful for the industry to bring in benefits.
Very, very interesting that you mentioned this, because my next question is really very poignant and contextual. The world over, industry is now slowly limping back into a sense of normalcy after what has truly been an unprecedented disruption of sorts.
Correct.
From the perspective of creating the intelligent factories of tomorrow, how important do you think AI, ML, and technology by itself is going to be to help industry get back on its feet and start marching forward, especially after the disruption or during the disruption, as the case were to be?
So, Mr. Arjun, you have very rightly pointed out that we are at cusp of a change, and this change, in some of the cases, has been necessitated by these unprecedented times. Earlier, there was no norm of working from home, but probably nowadays most of people are working from home. And in these times of working from home, the productivity has increased. This is something to means specifically for the service sector, the productivity has increased. For the industry, for the manufacturing, the productivity has not yet increased. So we have to bring manufacturing, the product side, equally up to the speed of what services can be what are delivering. So we have to make use of all these technological innovations, including ML, including AI, which can give us a boost to find out ways to better, and to be better than the best.
Indeed, indeed. Which fairly leaves me time to ask you one very, very important question, Sharad, and I do come to you, therefore. Over the last few weeks, month and a half, 2 months really now, we've heard calls for vocal for local, and this overarching concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and therefore make in India for India. How, in your view, is technology going to be an enabler towards Atmanirbhar Bharat?
Actually, Atmanirbhar Bharat is very close to our hearts at JK Group. So I would like to just change one thing what you said. You said make in India for India, not just India,
but make it for the world also.
Yeah. That's the aim everyone of us shall strive for. So there are a couple of impediments to it. One is, if we are looking just at the cost, it sometimes happens that we are getting some inputs from outside of India which are 20% lower, 40% lower, X% lower than what we are getting in India. But why can't we have facilities in India which are at par with the world's best. And then what we will save is, suppose we are importing something from China or something from outside, if we are producing it in Gujarat or Bangalore or in Rajasthan, so the freight factors would go down. And if
Indeed.
the scales are similar to what are there outside India, so our production cost will come down. So this Atmanirbhar Bharat is, I think, a very good clarion call given by the Prime Minister, which has sort of taken everyone every Indian uh, by, but it has sort of excited every Indian to
Given us
fulfill the dream.
cause, yes.
So this is a very noble cause, and yes, technology has to play its part to let all of us be there where we wish to.
Indeed, indeed. I couldn't have put it better myself. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Sharad Agarwal, CIO and Head IT for JK Tyre and Industries Limited. Sharad, it is an absolute delight having you with us, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time from your very busy schedule as we understand it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Arjun.
Pleasure, sir.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good day.
Good day.
Hello and welcome back. I am in conversation with Xavier Kurian, Director Data Center and Compute Solutions, Dell Technologies India, to continue where we left off from our industry dialogues, essentially talking about the smart factories of tomorrow and the intelligent industry of tomorrow. Xavier, delighted you could join us. Thank you for taking out time.
Glad to be here, Arjun.
Xavier, over the last 35 odd minutes now, 40 minutes almost, you and I, we've been hearing what industry CIOs, very eminent folks have been talking about the whole concept of the intelligent industry, how data and the convergence of data and artificial intelligence is leading to superior outcomes. In your view, Xavier, at the heart of all the innovation and technology that you folks at Dell Technologies are doing, how do you see the whole concept of the intelligent industry, the smart factories of tomorrow?
So, Arjun, we've always been a big proponent of the fact that IT is going to drive the next revolution. And we've seen that in other industries as well, right? India has become the hub for development of software. There's a lot of dependence on IT in banking, in industries that were traditionally more people-centric. And IT has enabled that to go and take that to the next level. We've already started seeing that happen in manufacturing, which globally there's been a lot of IT that has helped one optimize manufacturing and obviously improve the efficiency of that manufacturing. Small things like sensors that can detect what is where can help a factory go optimize what kind of tools are required in a manufacturing process. Supply chain is extremely important in factory operations, and that's become largely IT driven in today's market. The next wave of manufacturing is on its way with regard to automation, with regard to what robotics is going to bring into the equation, what large scale IoT can bring into the equation. And we heard some of those conversations about where each one of these things are impacting the manufacturing industry. We've been a big proponent of bringing technology into this industry, and we've got solutions across the board for it.
You made a very interesting point, and I'm going to kind of pick on that where you said the ability to power innovation and so on. Mm-hmm. Now, increasingly, how do I put this now in the most nicest way, in a post-disrupted reality of sorts that, well, not only globally, but in India also, that we're seeing. How is Dell Technologies playing a very critical role in powering manufacturing organizations to rely on intelligence to power resilience, really?
So, Arjun, in a post disruption world that we are in today, IT becomes even more important, not less. It is critically important to be able to have insight without people interacting with each other. Now there are multiple stages to it, right? We say the way we've broken that up is into collecting the data, storing the data, and analyzing the data and getting insights out of the data. And each one of these is a step in the journey. Collecting the data is about being able to go and get the sensors in place, go collect the relevant pieces of data from across the entire life cycle of manufacturing, whether it's supply chain, whether it's warehousing, whether it's machinery, every maintenance, and each one of these environments have data points that are very critical to collecting the entire life cycle of manufacturing. The second step post that is to how do you store that data, and how much of that data do you store, and that becomes fairly important as well, because there's a statement that was made some time ago, and we're talking 20 years ago, is how do you decide what data to go delete, right? Because you never know what you're going to need 5 years from now, right? So how do you go store that data and store it in a way that's as efficient as possible? The next step is to analyze that data and to look at this data and say, what can I change upfront? How fast can I go change it? It could be small things like in a supply chain environment, have I got the right number of pieces at any given point of time? Is my manufacturing stopping because of lack of supply chain? Or in the case of warehousing, it could be even more interesting as to where I place that inventory, so that the time taken for inventory to get to a manufacturing floor is as consistent and as together as possible, right? The last piece is the forward-looking AI solutions that are available to look at this data and to make predictions as to what you are going to need. Each one of these is a step in the journey, and there are organizations that have taken a fair bit of that in the fair bit of steps in that journey right now. But there's a long way to go in the larger manufacturing industry in India.
Very, very impactful. And now I must come to you. Over the past few months, we've heard the whole concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat and how increasingly the race or the foray, really, the journey is on to make India the next industrial manufacturing hub. Now, my question to you, therefore, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of the audience, is to understand from your perspective, Xavier, is how is Dell helping organizations accelerate and manufacturers accelerate to having the smarter factories, to having the intelligent enterprises?
So one of the things we realized early on was that that manufacturing is not always an IT organization, right? Their dependence on third parties to go set these things up is fairly high. And the moment you do that, the timelines to go deploy something like this become fairly long, because it's complicated. The solutions are unique to each manufacturing environment, and deployment life cycles sometimes last years, right? One of the things we did was to go templatize this, to go and say that, okay, if you wanted to go collect data, if you wanted to go set up a sensor environment, how do you go set it up? What are the endpoint devices you want to go set up? What are the collection nodes you want to go set up? How do you go set up a fabric? And we went and built all of this into standard templates. And we did those templates for each step of the journey, so that one, it is easy to do. Two, it is reliable and predictable. Most importantly,
Indeed.
You know exactly where things are likely to go, and that brings down the time to deploy orders of magnitude. We've seen deployments take less than a few weeks in ideal scenarios. right? So that's and we've done all the testing, we've done all the validation, we've done all the update management that is required to be able to enable this speed of deployment.
Outstanding, outstanding. But Xavier, I do have a view on the clock, and I know you have a hard stop, but I'm still going to come back to you with one rapid question. Xavier Kurian, one prediction for intelligent industry in the years to come that you're willing to make today.
For India, I think there's a boom coming.
Outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Xavier Kurian in conversation with me, Arjun Vishwanathan. Xavier, thank you. Delighted that you could be with us.
Absolutely pleasure to be here, Arjun.
Thank you so very much. Hi, welcome back, folks. While you continue to stay tuned for our next segment, I'd like to invite Sharad Agarwal, Group CIO, JK Tyre Industries Limited. Sharad, if you could join me on the screen. We do have a question. Hi, hello, how are you? Good morning. Sharad, very interesting question from Rakesh Mendirata on LinkedIn again, saying, with the concept of intelligent industry, really, should KPIs and metrics that organizations and manufacturers use, should they also change?
Yeah, that's really an interesting question. So what I feel is that yes, KPIs, some of the KPIs that we measure today will become hygiene factors. Sort of productivity would be sort of given, safety would be given. So what we'll be saying that we are continuously achieving 100% using this, but probably the KPIs that can be brought in is like, was there a quality defect which was not being able to be detected? There can be other thing like how many of the things are still not connected and still need a manual intervention. And probably another can be, as we are going today, suppose productivity of a person is X, that productivity index from X may move to 3X because these intelligent smart factories would be needing less of humans. So these are probably three of ideas that I was able to probably think of as of now. But most of the things that we measure today would be taken as hygiene factors given.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. But thank you, Sharad, for joining us. For the audience, Sharad Agarwal clearly mentioned that with the change of Indian industry and the concept of intelligent industry, so must KPIs and metrics also logically change in a congruous manner. Thank you, Sharad. For the audience, stay tuned. We are going to be up with the live poll. And after the poll is going to be a fantastic segment where my colleague is going to be in conversation with one of India's most beloved celebrities. But we'll let that stay a mystery for now. Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, I'm sure you all have enjoyed the digital dialogues thus far, focusing on diverse business and technology aspects of Industry 4.0. Well, now comes the concluding but very exciting part of this episode, a session titled In Focus. I'm extremely delighted, and indeed it's my pleasure to introduce the host and anchor of In Focus, Mr. Sri Krishna Venkataraman, Partner Marketing Manager, Dell Technologies India. Over to you, Sri Krishna, for In Focus.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to In Focus. I am very excited today to bring to you a sportsperson par excellence, a Padma Bhushan awardee, a man who has lifted the country's spirits many a time with his on-field performance. One of India's earliest sports icon, India's first true blue all-rounder, a World Cup winning captain, and above all, a true gentleman, Shri Kapil Dev. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Shri. I mean, you are saying Shri Kapil Dev and I'm saying Shri.
Advantage of the name, sir.
Yes.
So, to post your first question to you, Kapil, considering in your playing days, you do not have so much of technology in use, right? You do not have a video analyst, you do not have statisticians who could feed you with numbers. How did you go about strategy and planning before a game of cricket?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say hello to everybody. It's wonderful coming on this new technology, which we didn't have, which you asked me the question. Sure, I will answer that. But it's a great new technology is giving us opportunity to talk. Now, your question is, we didn't have a technology. One thing, Shri, all of you understand, this technology is bigger than any other technology.
Absolutely.
Your memory, how you played, what happened 5 years back, it should be restored here. And that's what we had. When you don't have calculator, still we used to do math. Doesn't matter. It's new people get new advantage, let them. But again, your determination, your passion is the key word.
Absolutely, sir. Get it. But just for the benefit of the audience, sir, if you can just give us an example of a successful plan or a strategy during your captaincy days that you made against an opposition or a player, and how did it pay off?
I think, first of all, we are slightly different than a corporate world. Corporate world is a very American word. They start coming out. I'm sorry, but that's how they are the leader and they set the example. Like in corporate world, normally they say a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. In our cricket, we never say plan A, plan B. Only one plan, how to win the match. There is nothing.
Absolutely.
Now, if I ask you, if you are dying in the sea, do you have a plan B?
No. It's
The
just surviving.
people who have a plan B or C, they become weak. You are looking for option. In sports, the corporate world working differently. But if you want to be number one in the world, there's no plan B. This is the way we want to work. If we don't achieve, fine. But this is the way we want to be number one in the world.
Brilliant answer, sir. The third question that we would like to pose to you today is, change is the only constant. You would have heard this number of times, sir. Given that, you had a fairly long career of 16 years, how did you evolve as a batsman or a bowler over 16 years? What did you change in yourself, be it a technical aspect of the game or mental aspect? How did you evolve?
I think mentally you start growing. That's what it happened. Change is there because you are growing. With the age, you are improving. And if you say all the kids, when they are 2 years old, we love them. But you love them once they reach 25 and talk the same way? No. So it's important to change for the betterment. If you can keep on learning and becoming better, that's what we are looking for. A change word, again, it's given. It's the improvement in your mind and you are more intelligent. That's bring the change. And then two thought process within your head, positive and negative.
And just feeding from your answer, sir, how did you feed positive energy within yourself? What made you be positive over such a long period of time?
I think that you have to start preparing from very young age. I have to think positive. Again, there is negative and positive, but who will play a commanding role within your body, positive or negative. If you keep on thinking positive, it will happen positive. I had only one thing: I want to play for the country. I want to play for the country. For that, that journey doesn't make any difference to me. A lot of people says that, it's a tough life. Tough life is if you don't achieve your goal. If you achieve your goal, it's not a tough life. Where you sitting today, it's a great thing. You educated, you've taken that post. You should be proud about yourself and not say, I could have been there. Yes, keep working hard. You will be there one day.
Very simply put, sir, 16 years of experience, you put it in, 1 minute of, of your speech. Very aptly put and very simply put, I should say. Kapil, sir, I'm going to read out from your stats for the next question. Right, 16 years, 131 test matches, 184 innings. You did not miss a single test match due to injury in your entire career, and yet you were never run out even once in your test match career. I don't think anybody else has that record, and it's a very unique record. How did you manage this, and how important is fitness to you?
I think one have to be lucky also. Sometimes run out thing is, it's not my mistake. It can be my partner mistake, and you can be run out. But it's more important, more I listen to this question, is awareness. If you have awareness what's happening, you will be run out very less time in your life. When you are not aware what's happening, which fielder standing, which corner where, and that's make all the difference. And judgment then, it comes to, I'm lucky. I would say I played 16 years, never got run out, just lucky. And second, fitness, I think God was kind, that's all.
So what was your typical fitness regime like, sir, when you're playing days? Especially with not many fitness coaches at that point in time, like how we have now with our team here. How was it like? Who was guiding you? Was it all self-reliance? How was it?
For both. History have no meaning according to me, but history will tell you what people did at what time, which era. What happened, Corona today, people will come to know about 100 years from now if we write history. That is the importance of history. So I read a lot of book and I try to go through a lot of things. What is the best for me? I have to analyze myself. All of you sitting there, analyze yourself. Don't try to copy anybody. A duplicate cannot be better than original. So plan yourself, think yourself, and go forward, because your body only you know. I can run 5 miles, but other guy can run 15 miles. So you have to see your body. When it is start paining, from there you start working.
Very aptly put, sir. We have now discussed about physical fitness, which you just elucidated on. But from an India perspective, being a sports star is a blessing as well as a curse, if I may say so. Curse primarily because you're remembered basis your last performance, and people's mind are very fickle. How do cricketers work on their mental aspect? Because this would affect their mental aspect of the game as well, right? So how do they work on that?
When you start thinking what other people will say, that's the problem. You play for yourself. You have a passion. You are playing and enjoying yourself, not first performance or last performance. Are you enjoying? They are the judgment makers or they are opinion makers. Let them do. But are you enjoying? Are you doing your 100% is important. You give your 100%. If you make 0, it's okay. Let's work harder now and try to perform. Nobody in this world every day will be a successful, he will be a failure, because he don't know nothing about that.
Well, I must really say, thank you so much for that enthusiastic participation. We are immensely happy that we could bring this episode of the Digital Dialogue Season 2, Industry 4.0. Well, Can you please fill up the feedback form? Your feedback is extremely important to us as it helps us enrich future events that we will continue to bring to you. Stay tuned and we will be back on September 8th with the second episode of the Digital Dialogues. Till then, have a good day, stay safe, and please do take care of yourself. Thank you.